Good evening, Wareham, and welcome to the Select Board meeting of May 21st, 2024. The clerk is remote. Mr. Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Unfortunately, I can't see anyone that's in there tonight, so...
Okay, I'll have Mr. Bessie do it, if that's
I'll
okay.
have to pass off my duties to Mr. Bessie, if that's okay.
Okay, may I have a motion, please, to make Mr. Bessie clerk pro tem? May I have a motion to make Mr. Bessie clerk pro tem?
So moved.
So moved.
Motion made and seconded to have Mr. Bessie be clerk pro tem. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Ms. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Matt, thank you. Now, Mr. Clerk Pro Tem, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Present tonight via Zoom is Selectman Chadwick, Select Board Member Corbett, myself, Mr. Bessie, and Chair Whiteside, along with our esteemed attorney, Richard Bowen.
Thank you. We are expecting... And Derek Sullivan is also present? Okay.
I didn't see him on the screen.
Okay, thank you. May I have a Pledge of Allegiance, Ms. Corbett?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Residents' comments. Residents' comments. Comments on non-agenda items shall be limited to 2 minutes, and there will be no more than 10 minutes per meeting. Based on past practice, the Select Board will not respond or comment. Would you identify yourself for the record after you push the green button?
Yes, good evening, Sandy Slavin. I'm here to remind everybody that community preservation grants for the October town meeting are due the second Tuesday in July. That is July 9th. Please, if you have a project, open space, recreation, affordable housing, or historic preservation, please submit a grant. All the paperwork's online and ready to go. I have reached out to Damien's Community Garden and let them know that there are funds available to assist them with their expenses. I know they want to put in a permanent fence. A lot of towns have put money into their community gardens under the category of recreation, so please, we're here to help. Community preservation meets tomorrow night at 6 o'clock in room 24. If anybody has any questions as to whether or not their project could be allowed, come talk to us. We've got money, we want to spend it. I know that there is an affordable housing project coming along on Everett School. Please, we've got the money, we want to help. Again, recreation, historic preservation, open space, and why do I keep forgetting one?
Historic.
Historic. Why don't I keep? I don't know. Just, but second Tuesday in July is your deadline for October town meeting. Please come up with a project. We've got money to spend. Thank you.
Thank you. No, is there a reason we can't see Mr. Sullivan, the other Mr. Sullivan? Okay. Announcements. Miss Corbett, please.
Yes, I do have some announcements. I was at the duck race yesterday. I'm a member of the Friends of the Library, and that's the organization that put on the rubber duck race. And despite the miserable weather, I talked to Priscilla this afternoon, and she thinks about 80 people came out. It was just a lot of people, a lot of kids. a lot of fun. At one point, Marcia Hickey, the children's librarian who put together some of the activities, said, right outside this window, you're going to see those kids rolling down that hill no matter how muddy and wet it is. And sure enough, there they went. So just a good time. Priscilla said they made about $600. So it was a really nice day, and I thank you everyone who came out. Also, I want to note on behalf of my former organization, the Library Board of Trustees is in need of 4 new members now that I'm gone. And with terms expiring at the end of June, they do need more people to step up. It's a really good committee to be a part of, so I encourage anyone to go on the Library Board of Trustees website to find out how to apply. And we also have many other town boards and committees vacancies, and I'll just go quickly down the list. I won't tell you how many seats are available, but in alphabetical order, the Alternative Energy Committee, the Bylaw Committee, the Cable Advisory Committee, the Community Events Committee, Community Preservation Committee, Conservation Commission, Council on Aging, Board of Directors, the Finance Committee, Golf Course Committee, Historic District Committee, the Historical District Commission, the Library Board of Trustees, Minot Forest, Open Space, the Planning Board, Recycling, not road commissioners anymore, the Veterans Council, and the Zoning Board of Appeals. And you can find that list on the town website on the Select Board page. And just finally, as part of my former life, I want to tell everyone about the Library Foundation Gala that's coming up on June 28th, 6:30 to 9:30. That'll be at the Onset Bay Center, and it is fundraising for the Library Foundation. They do an incredible job helping out the library, and I would encourage everyone, come see me if you want tickets, or you can go on the library website and find the foundation page, and you can order tickets there. So those are my announcements.
Thank you. The record will show that Ms. Quirk joined the meeting at 7:06. Mr. Bessie?
Just one that was just given to me, and I don't mind reading this one at all. So, there's going to be a retirement celebration, and I will read this as it says. It says, please join us to honor Alan Slavin, June 30th from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Rosebrook Event Center, 50 Rosebrook Place, Wareham, Mass. 02571. Tickets are $25, and all proceeds go towards the appetizers and gift. All donations should be sent to P.O. Box 1100, Onset, Mass. 02558. You can make checks payable to the Oak Grove CV Cultural Center, or you can call Lorraine at 508-776-5475, or Yvonne at 508-209-7787, or at the Onset Bay Association, 196 Onset Ave, Onset, Mass. So if you have time to come on out and celebrate Alan and all the work that he's done here in this town, it'd be great to come out and see you and have a little bit of fun with Alan.
Excellent. Ms. Quirk, do you have any announcements? We're not hearing you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Do you have any announcements?
Yes, I do. I wanted to apologize for being slightly late. I'm calling in from my 20th anniversary trip to Europe with my spouse. Just wanted to quickly say that I appreciate the fact that later in the agenda we will get to an announcement for LGBTQ Pride Month. And as we in Wareham celebrate LGBTQ Pride, as we travel in Europe, there is a State Department alert out for, potential acts of terrorism, very heightened alert for members of the LGBTQ community. So I just wanted to highlight this so that we don't take for granted the level of safety and inclusion that we enjoy in Wareham, as the rest of the world still struggles with these issues. Thank you.
Thank you. I have only a couple of announcements. The Wareham Oyster Festival will be held this Sunday, rain or shine. It opens at 11 a.m. and continues until 5 p.m. downtown Main Street, Wareham. Downtown Main Street, Wareham will be blocked off to traffic, okay? There are over 100 vendors signed up, and they're selling everything from cookies to oysters. I'll buy the cookies and skip the oysters, thanks very much. And everything in between. It's a great lineup of vendors. There's also music. 11 o'clock in Pizzoli Square, Grace Morrison will be performing her collection of what she calls saltwater country music. From 1 to 3, the South Coast Jazz Orchestra, consisting of 17 pieces, will be performing. From 3 to 5, Daddy-O recreates the early days of rock and roll. Rich and I can go there. Rockabilly and country, okay? Parking is free throughout the town, but we recommend parking at Town Hall and catching the free shuttle. On Monday, the Oyster Fest is sponsoring a 5K run. All of the information is online. Just look up Wareham Oyster Fest. A couple of weeks ago, we heard from Glenn Hannington, president of Wareham Gatemen, a member of the Cape Cod Baseball League. The Gatemen have consistently had graduates placed in the MLB draft. The last round of drafts, Paul Scanes, who played in Wareham in 2021, was picked number 1 in round 1 by the Pittsburgh Pirates. Tom Troy was picked 12 in round 1, going to the Arizona Diamondbacks. He's a shortstop who played in Wareham in 22. And Chase Davis was the 21st pick in round 1. An outfielder, he played in Wareham in 22 as well. If you're a baseball nut, these are really impressive statistics. Really impressive statistics. There were other previous players from the Gatemen who were picked in rounds 2 through the end. The Gatemen's first game is June 15th against Chatham. Remember that Mr. Hannington told us that they have clinics. The ages are 6 through 15. There is financial help available because no one should be without the ability to play baseball in the United States of America. So if you have children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, nieces, nephews, have them go to Spillane Field and have a really nice evening. But bring your bug spray, please, because it's tough out there. We have some minutes that we need to approve. And,
Can I say my announcements too?
oh,
Ms.
yes, I
Whiteside?
forgot all about you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's the normal. It's okay.
Go for it.
All right. As Ms. Quirk stated, we are coming up into Pride Month. Last year, I and multiple other people orchestrated the first ever Pride Month celebrates Wareham Pride at the Onset Bay Association. So this year, we are going to be doing Wareham Celebrates Pride at the Onset Bay Association in Onset at Bayview Park, 184 Onset Ave, on June 1st, 2024 at 10 a.m. and it will be going from 10 to 2. We will be raising the pride flag. There will be multiple musicians. If you went to it last year, plan on it being a lot bigger this year. This is something that's been near and dear to my heart. I have always been a proud supporter of the LGBTQ community. So I hope everyone can come out and have a good time and celebrate. And that's it.
Thank you. Sorry about forgetting you. I don't know how I did that.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. Also, unfortunately, I will not be able to read the proclamation later on tonight just because I am on shift at the fire department and we keep getting calls in and out, so.
That's fine. I can have my voluntold person do it when
Your
it's time.
understudy.
Yeah, your understudy.
I thank you guys very much. I was not planning on being at the station tonight. Things changed, and I hope everyone understands how that works.
We do. Thank you for being a first responder. We have some licenses and permits. We do have a 7:15 hearing. Well, it's not really a hearing, it's an informational meeting. I don't see the principal here yet, so we'll move on. May I have a motion, please, to, on the consent agenda, to do the minutes? And
Sure.
this one is a
Approve and release. Okay. So I make a motion on the Select Board meeting minutes of 4/2/2024.
To accept.
What?
To approve.
To approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes.
Second.
I'm sorry?
I think he seconded
I was
after the second.
just saying second.
Oh, okay, thank you. Any further discussion on accepting those minutes? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Ms. Quirk?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
And Ms. Corbett?
Yes.
And myself, yes, it is so.
I make a motion to approve the Select Board meeting minutes of 4/16/2024.
You're going to have to second.
Second?
Motion made and
Second.
seconded to approve those minutes. Is there any further discussion on the motion to approve the minutes of 4/16/24? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Ms. Quirk?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
And Ms. Corbett?
Yes.
And myself, it is so.
I
500.
make a motion to approve and hold the Select Board executive meeting minutes of 4/16/2024.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to approve and hold those minutes. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Ms. Quirk?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Ms. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
And myself, it is so.
I move to approve the Select Board meeting minutes of 4/22/2024.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes of 4/22/24. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Ms. Quirk?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Ms. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Myself, yes, it is so.
I move to approve the Select Board meeting minutes of 5/7/2024.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to approve those minutes of May 7th. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Ms. Quirk?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Ms. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
And myself, 500. It is so. Go ahead.
I move to approve and release the executive session minutes of the Select Board for 5/7/2024.
Second?
Is there a motion made and seconded to approve and release those executive session minutes? Is there any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Ms. Quirk?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Ms. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
And myself, yes, it is so. Okay, let's move on to discussion and a possible vote to approve temporary signs for the Onset Foursquare Church's outdoor Sunday services on June 30th, July 28th, and August 25th. All of the paperwork is in order. I reviewed it in the office. May I have a motion?
Yes. I make a motion to approve the temporary signs for Onset Foursquare Church's outdoor Sunday services, June 30th, July 28th, and August 25th, 2024.
Is there a second?
Second?
Motion made and seconded to approve those temporary signs. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Again, all of the paperwork is in order. Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Ms. Quirk?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Ms. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
And myself, yes, it is so. Is Ms. Jones here? Noah Sullivan? Maria Jones from Serpide?
Yes.
Would you let her into the meeting, please? Who's the other person? Okay,
They're both Serpide.
okay. Is Mr. Buckland also here?
Yes.
Yes, please. Ms. Jones, do you mind if we do Mr. Buckland's presentation, which is to just quickly review some host community agreements that we need to have authorized? Because he's a town employee, I like to try and get town employees in, and so they can go home. Is that all right with you
For
guys?
sure.
Yeah, and just for context, my colleague Philip Hugh is actually going to be presenting.
Oh, awesome. Okay, great. Mr. Buckland, you are on here to talk about the host community agreements with Smithers, with Trade Routes, and with Verilife. Can you do them one at a time, please?
Sure. The host community agreements are ones that we make with marijuana establishments, and they are renewable after a certain number of years based on Cannabis Control Commission regulations. They have to be structured in a certain way as well. The Smithers contract is what it is. The host community agreement is, I don't believe is ready yet. It puts a dollar figure. It doesn't protect the town as appropriately enough that I think is necessary for the rules that the Cannabis Control Commission puts out.
Okay, so we can skip over that one, right?
Yeah, you can skip that one.
Okay. How about Trade Routes?
Trade Routes is the next one, I believe. That one is appropriately done. It has Section 2, which is on the community impact fee, which is the controversial part of the agreements that has been taking a hit on in the courts around the state and other communities. And but in here it's appropriately drafted, and I believe this one is ready for review by town council and execution by the town administrator.
Okay. Any questions on that one from any of my members? No?
No.
Okay. Could you move on to Verilife, please?
Verilife has two host community agreements. One is for medical marijuana, and the other is for retail recreational marijuana. And this one is the re-up of the recreational adult use marijuana. And this one is also appropriately structured, and I think it's ready for review by town council and execution by the town administrator.
Thank you. Mr. Sullivan, Town Administrator Sullivan, do you have any comments or questions on any of the presentations, either of those two?
No, with the language on the impact fees, I'm good with that. And I just sent you all out an email not too long ago. There's additional regulations coming down from the Cannabis Control Commission that's going to require us to adopt bylaws. So it'd be at the October town meeting, which is interesting as they've gone retroactively and done away with the impact fees. I'm now wondering if the new regulations they're putting down and what they're forcing to do to the community since they've removed the funding source is not an impact, what do you call it? You can go to the auditor on it. So,
Okay.
Can't think of it, but when the state makes us do
Unfunded mandate.
certain things and they don't pay for it.
Unfunded mandate is what you were looking for.
Unfunded mandate, correct. So it'll be interesting now. So we might want to, with these new bylaws and guidelines and the things they're forcing communities to do, we may want to send it to the auditor to determine if they're now unfunded mandates since they've removed the funding sources.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of any of my board members on either Verilife or Trade Routes HCA? Seeing none, hearing none, I will ask Mr. Bessie to make a motion, please. Yep.
All right. So I move to authorize, I move to have the host community amended, updated agreement with Trade Routes, reviewed by town council and signed by the town administrator, Derek Sullivan.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to have town council sign off as to form and to authorize Mr. Sullivan to sign. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Ms. Quirk?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Ms. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Myself, yes, it is so. And next.
Thank you very much.
One more.
I move to authorize the review of the amended, updated host community agreement with Verilife by town council to be signed by town administrator Derek Sullivan.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to have town council sign off as to form and authorize the town administrator to sign on behalf of the town. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Ms. Quirk?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Ms. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
And myself, it is so. Thank you very much. Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Buckland. Good evening. Thank you so much. Mr. Other Sullivan, would you let Maria Jones and Philip Hu in, please, again? Thank you.
Oh, no, I got it. I appreciate it. Do you want me-
Good evening,
Hello.
Mr. Hu.
Oh.
How are you this evening?
I am doing great.
Thank you
for
for
having me again.
Thank you for coming back. I apologize for the short shrift you got a couple of weeks ago, but we had to be out of here by 8 o'clock, and you and I hadn't really thought about how long your presentation might be.
No, that's also kind of our fault, but
No,
thank
it's
you.
not. It's ours.
But we're here.
All right. Why don't you introduce yourself, and you have screen sharing, right, there?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Philip Hu. I am the Assistant Director of Planning at SERPED, which is the Southeastern Regional Planning and Economic Development District, which is the regional planning agency that covers southeastern Massachusetts, which includes Wareham. We have been, for the past year, we've been doing a regional plan working with all 27 of our communities to update these regional and community priority areas. So I'm just gonna, because I believe there's been new members kind of coming in, I would give a very, very brief introduction, which I did last time, and then walk you through some of the changes that we drafted working with folks from Wareham to do this. So this is kind of the third phase of the regional update we've been working on. So why are we here? To just give this quick refresher and overview of the priority areas, because it's been a little bit since we've come back to these our communities, and to just present and review these draft priority areas for your community. So what are these priority areas? I mean, they sound like a priority, but what really are they? So there are kind of two main types of priority areas we are working with our communities to identify within each community. There are priority development areas. These are areas for additional growth. So for economic development or housing, and then there are priority protection areas. These are areas that are important to protect, including significant natural and cultural resources. So how do we determine where these priority areas are? Well, it's really up to each community. We really rely on your on-the-ground knowledge of each of your towns, but we also help supply all this data, whether it's zoning, land use infrastructure, or other kind of like natural resource data like habitats, water resources, and conservation areas. So this is kind of the this is the third version of what we've been working on. So in 2008 was kind of the first pass at identifying these priority areas. It really came about because of the South Coast Rail coming along and the region wanting to be prepared by identifying these priority development areas and protection areas. In 2013, the boundaries were refined a bit more, working with each community again. And today we are just kind of doing the same thing, really, just learning what has changed, how have each of our communities' priorities changed, and how these areas could be updated to reflect that. So why are we doing this? Why are we doing this year-long process? These priority areas do have benefits to our communities. Priority development areas, by designating an area as such, helps towns get grants that can be competitive, and it kind of gives a little, bonus, like a little gold star to your application. So North Attleboro, when they designated this downtown area as a priority development area, they got funding for new zoning. It helped them get a $1.3 million MassWork grant, and kind of the end result is they helped create 193 units on this former brownfield site. Priority protection areas are also really beneficial to our communities because it also gives you access to grant funding. So in Norton, it helped them get a $575,000 land grant for conservation acquisitions across town, resulting in 150 acres of permanently protected land. So in terms of the timeline, we started about a year ago, spring, summer. Over the fall, we worked with each of our communities to just sit down, go into the nitty gritty, work with representatives from each community to discuss the updates. And then today we're here really presenting it and kind of hearing your questions and comments. And afterwards, if you have more comments, feel free to send them along. After we meet with all 27 of our communities again, we're kind of taking all of these priority areas together and having 2 regional screening meetings to kind of discuss which of these are of regional importance. So they kind of get an extra gold star. So for Wareham, I'm just gonna walk through all of them, but you can see there aren't too many changes. There's just there are 2 new priority protection areas, and then some boundaries of existing priority development areas kind of have shifted. So if you can see here, these are your 19 priority areas. So just in addition, combined areas are areas that have elements of the priority development area. They have some opportunity for growth, but they're also elements that are really important to protect. So it's next to some kind of like sensitive, natural, or historic resource. So you can see here a historic area, like historic district. There could be some infill development potential, but it's also really important to protect that character. So with that, any questions before I walk through the priority areas for Wareham?
Can you just, I just did a Jared. The purple delineates what, the yellow is what, and the green is what, please? Because I'm too far away to see the key.
Yes, so the purple are the priority development areas, the green are the priority protection areas, and yellow are the combined areas.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I know I went through that introduction really, really quickly.
I don't think there are. I can't see this board.
Okay, so so this first one is I think, well, this is something we'll have to figure out. They're slightly different names, but oh, sorry, I'm in Westport. I was like, this is really confusing. Apologies for that. The first district is this one, kind of off of 495, the Business Development Overlay District. The purpose, this is a very high level plan, so a lot of times the purposes are kind of left intentionally vague. But the purpose is business development, and the boundaries correspond to the Business Development Overlay District, excluding a small portion of the One Kinko River Priority Protection area. So there were no changes to this particular priority area. Neighboring it is this Toby Road industrial area, so just kind of across the 495, industrial, business, and office development. The boundaries were slightly updated to include the former Deacon's school site, excluding some kind of sensitive biomap habitat. So you can see here this is where it expanded, where there's this kind of hatch. So you can see it's pretty minor changes. And, I don't expect you to kind of formulate all of your thoughts kind of in one evening. So we are happy to send over all these materials and you can kind of look closely at these priority areas and give us feedback. So the third one is the Wareham Village. So this is just kind of, the boundaries are kind of the same, but community representatives told us they wanted to kind of carve out this one, 310, oops. This kind of Park Street historic area to kind of differentiate it slightly from kind of the rest of the village. So that was a slight adjustment to that boundary. To Wareham Village. It's here. The boundaries were slightly updated to include 2 additional small parcels that are also in the commercial zoning. So a lot of the work we've been doing is just trying to align things with existing conditions. Like, oh, your zoning is already says this, and this is what we're trying to make them match up. So you can see there's these 2 parcels right there that were added versus kind of what the original one, which is this little area.
Mr. Hu, I think isn't that Onset Village? Yeah, I think that particular portion of it is actually Onset Village, which is of course part of Wareham, but I believe that's what, I think you said Wareham. Or,
the name of the...
Where he's pointing right now is near Union Pond at the end of Glen Charlie and
right,
Depot.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. It's like jumping between the different priority areas, I know can be a little bit confusing. I don't know. So kind of to orient everyone, this is we kind of skipped down to kind of this eastern side. Right next to it, this is the just called the Cranberry Plaza redevelopment, no changes to boundaries or purpose. And then kind of right here at the end is just called the Ocean Spray Priority Development Area, and kind of just corresponds to, I believe, just a few parcels, and boundaries correspond to selected parcels within the commercial strip zone district. So those are the priority development areas. I can kind of zoom out and you can kind of see all the purple next them all. And you can see they're kind of like all at established corridors, but I'm happy to answer kind of any questions before moving on to the protection areas.
I don't see any questions. No. I think we're all set, Mr.
None.
Oh,
great.
Jared, go ahead.
No, I said none.
Okay, go ahead.
I do not have any.
Thank you.
So priority protection areas, these definitely cover larger kind of portions of the town, and they all kind of do have a logic to them. So the first one is Fearing Hill Corridor Extension. I'm trying to find it, 31007. So actually it's this small kind of chunk here. The purpose is to protect this open space, and there are no changes to boundaries of purpose, but it was renamed from a different kind of, which was previously called 96 LLC parcel. The next one is the Willantic River Basin. This corresponds to kind of what we mapped out as the Willantic River Basin, based on kind of all the data we get from MassGIS. And you can see it covers kind of a pretty big swath of Wareham. And essentially for priority protection area, it's not saying like, oh, this is zoning or regulations that you can't develop here. Instead, it's just a strategic kind of way for us and you to kind of work together, say, hey, there's a lot of potential open spaces here that we want to protect. Some of it privately owned, some of it publicly owned, some owned by conservation commissions and nonprofits. So kind of like, oh, if we can systematically protect as much open space here to preserve kind of that natural hydrological system, that would be ideal. So next is the Wankinko River. So that's 310.9. Sometimes they're a little bit hard to find. Up here, sorry. So no changes to this boundary or purpose. This is from the original 2013 plan. Similarly, the goal is to protect open space and ensure low impact development adjacent to this river. So Zone 2 Aquifer Protection District, these boundaries correspond to the Zone 2 Aquifer Protection District and a selected parcel containing portions of the Maple Park Campground, excluding those areas already covered by the Agawam River PPA. So again, pulling data from kind of the state and what we know about water resources and kind of using that to create the boundaries. Because it might seem kind of arbitrary where things are, but different layers of data kind of intersected. So this is, next is the Agawam River. There were no changes to this priority area as well. Marks Cove Extension and the Wareham Neck. Oh, Marks Cove Extension is a new priority area. So it's kind of priority protection area. So it's a few selected parcels that are, I believe, currently privately, boundaries correspond to nonprofit owned parcel boundaries. So I think it's essentially community representatives like, hey, it would be great to highlight some of the open space work that we're trying to do here to preserve these. Then next is the Wareham Neck habitat area. There's a large chunk here. The goal is to protect habitats in Wareham Neck, and there were no changes to boundaries or purpose here. So this is from the original 2013. Then we have the Little Harbor Golf Course, which is actually kind of squeezed in between the Wareham Neck habitat area, and this is a new priority protection area, and it corresponds to a recently acquired golf course. And then lastly, for the priority protection areas, we have Robinwood Road, 31015. I think this one's a really small one. Oh, it's this one? No, that's part of this code extension. Oh, sorry, right there. So it's a very small kind of area to just protect, to maintain and protect open space kind of on the waterfront here. So those are priority protection areas. It covers kind of a large swath of town, mostly corresponding to habitats and also kind of important river corridors and also waterfront areas. Quickly moving on to the last four combined areas, we have the Park Street Historic Area. That is what I mentioned earlier, that kind of is off of the Wareham Village priority development area. We also have the Lower Narrows Historic Area to the southeast of the identified priority development area for Wareham Village. And no changes to boundaries for this one. Then we have the Onset Village Neighborhood Business District. It's right there. And the boundaries were slightly updated to extend across the water to include these parcels. You can see the original one, it's kind of hard to see, covers only this half. Lastly, we have the Bay Point Golf Course, which is a new identified priority combined area. So some opportunity for development, but also significant opportunity for protection. So I know that was really fast because I know you have other things to get to, but I wanted to just kind of go over kind of the full spectrum of all of the priority areas in your community. In terms of next steps, please feel free to look at this in your own time. We will definitely reach back out to announce when we're doing our regional screening meetings, and I'm happy to answer more questions, field more comments. But again, thank you for having me tonight.
Thank you. Any of my members have questions, comments?
None.
Yeah, go ahead, Ms. Corbett.
Real quick, I know that the next steps would be that regional screening meeting. What is that?
Yes. So essentially, you can see we have draft priority areas for all 27 of our communities across the whole region here. And essentially, we're going to kind of invite all of our communities to come together, or representatives and also members of the public, to kind of work through which of these priority areas are the most significant for the region. And we are currently doing a GIS analysis to kind of score each of the priority areas that each of our communities identified based on kind of certain metrics like, how close is it to like water and sewer or to a freeway? And we want to provide kind of all that information to kind of say, okay, based on the data, these are the most important to our region. But we also want to hear from the our communities. And they basically, if they're regionally significant, they kind of get what I call like an extra gold star.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chadwick, you have a question?
I have none.
No? Ms. Quirk? No?
Yes, I just wanted to mention to Philip, I would like to reach out to you
Can you
to make
speak up
sure
a little
that I
louder?
understand.
Please.
I would like to reach out to you so that I can understand all of the ramifications of the identification of these lands, and make sure that all the intersecting issues that are in front of us with land use and development, that I'm understanding it, and that the select board can understand it going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. No. So I know that we have this up on the town website already from 2 weeks ago. We do have hard copies. We've given a hard copy to the press, and we are certainly looking forward to getting comments and concerns from citizens. So I guess Ms. Corbett didn't ask it quite bluntly enough. When would you might be having public hearings or, meetings to engage the public? Or is
Yeah,
that up to
so
us?
there's no kind of official public hearing. There's no kind of like requirement for that. Instead, we're hoping to have these two kind of regional community meetings that we invite members of kind of representatives who have helped work with us, and kind of folks from select boards, planning boards, but also members of the community to come kind of speak if they are really interested. I don't know if that answered the question.
I think so. Thank you. Just one more question. The upcoming FEMA maps, did you take into consideration what they show about the lack of land in Wareham in the next 50 years?
We used the FEMA maps that were kind of available to us kind of at the time that we started the process, so I'm not I can't think off the top of my head whether they were the most recent update.
Okay, great, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hu. I understand that you are leaving Serpent to go back to school. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. So, kind of this is probably the last time you'll see me, but Maria will definitely be around. She's kind of our community engagement kind of specialist who's been coordinating a lot of this, and as well as Grant King, who is the kind of director of the comprehensive department, and he led the 2013, and so you're going to definitely be in very good hands.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, and congratulations to going back to, I guess it's a pretty neat idea of what you're going to be doing. Graduate work, right?
Yes, so I am going to an MBA program at Harvard.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we're all set, and thank you very much, and thank you for letting us take Mr. Buckland first. That was very kind of you. I appreciate it.
Of course. Have a wonderful evening.
You as well. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. I'm going to go back to the agenda. Mr. Bessie, if I could have a motion on item 9E, please.
I move to approve the opt-out and reduction fees applications for curbside billing FY24 in the amount of $456.25.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the opt-out and reduction fees. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Is Ms. Quirk still with us or not?
Yes, I am. Aye.
Hear her.
I heard her. I just don't see her.
Okay.
She is.
Here I am.
All right. Roll call vote. Ms. Quirk?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Mrs. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
And myself, yes, it is so. We'll read that next. We'll go back to the Pride one. May I have, let me read the information from the cemetery commissioners. Any of you who have been to the cemeteries lately, for any reason, know that there has been a lot of work done in all of our cemeteries, especially Agawam and Center cemeteries. The cemetery commissioners have the job of recommending fees to the select board, and they recently had occasion to ask us to increase or to actually establish a fee regarding disinterment of cremains. And they have sent us a recommendation here, and they've sent us the minutes of all the meetings where they discussed this. The other thing that they wanted us to make sure we got the public to know is that in looking at all of the cemetery maps, there are another 400 sites in Agawam and Center Cemetery that are available to residents of the town of Wareham. So the expansion of the cemeteries of Agawam particularly was completed using the October 2017 money to survey the land. After the land was surveyed, the land was cleared, trees were cut, the lot was stumped, and all of the materials were brought back to Municipal Maintenance Department for recycling and screening. Once the lot was cleared, again, we're talking about Agawam, Municipal Maintenance staff excavated the entire lot to a 7-foot depth to remove all large rocks, and then screened that material and used it as topsoil. The lot was measured and a layout was created with enough space for 427 additional graves. The new section will be labeled Section C in Agawam. The C section comes from the 15 cherry blossom trees that were planted along the perimeter of the new lot. They were gorgeous in bloom, by the way. The cherry blossoms will not only bloom beautifully, but will make this section extremely easy to identify not only for our employees, but also for families and loved ones. This entire project was performed in-house by Municipal Maintenance, saving the taxpayers thousands of dollars. On average, the cemetery commissioners have have about 55 burials a year within all 3 cemeteries, town-owned cemeteries. And this new section has the capacity of a total of 854 burials before it gets into the overcapacity aspect. When you buy a lot in the cemetery, you actually are buying the license to bury somebody or the cremains in the cemetery. The land remains the property of the town of Wareham, and therefore the town of Wareham is responsible for taking care of it. So I need to have a motion from you, one of you, for the rate for the disinterment of cremains, and I've lost the piece of paper. Do you have it? How much is it? How much is it? 750?
Yeah.
May I have a motion to approve the disinterment fee for cremains at $750?
So moved.
Is there a
So
second?
moved.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion on that recommendation from the cemetery commissioners? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Ms. Quirk? Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Ms. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Ms. Quirk? It's 400. May I have, I think what we're going to do is hold off on the discussion on the establishing fees on the one-day wine and malt, one-day all alcohol, and one-day entertainment license. I'd rather have you all in the room. It's a little difficult to see and hear at the moment. There will be a seminar in June 17th in the Town Hall Auditorium presented by ABCC about the new guidelines on alcohol, what I call drinking and driving. In other words, you can buy open containers to go, but you got to put them in the trunk. And there also is outdoor seating now is law as opposed to it was a temporary thing. So we will be discussing that more at a future meeting here, but there is a seminar that some of us will be going to on the 17th. I'd like a motion to authorize WCTV to use the town seal for town business. I gave you all a copy of the law about using town seal.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to authorize WCTV to use the town seal for town business. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Ms. Quirk? Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Ms. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
And myself, yes, it is so. It's 400. How about the discussion, possible vote to authorize the twinning program? This is a program that Claire Smith and a bunch of other people have.
Madam Chair, it looks like Ms. Quirk might be in the attendees on there. She's just not showing up. Her hand's raised. She's under attendees, not panelists.
Okay, thank you. The twinning program was discussed in front of this board by Ms. Smith several months ago. There's a group of people who are planning to visit Wareham, England, and have people from Wareham, England come here. They would like to use the town seal. They will not be costing the town any money at all, and they understand that. But we did, we endorsed the program earlier in the year. So I'd accept a motion.
Where are we here?
And
I move to authorize the twinning program to use the town seal for town business.
Second.
is there any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Ms. Quirk?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Ms. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
And myself, yes, it is so. Annually, we nominate one representative to the Old Colony Elder Services Board of Directors. Our Council on Aging Director Sharon Rice has been serving in that function. May I have a motion, please?
I move to nominate Sharon Rice to the Old Colony Elder Services Board of Directors.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to nominate Sharon Rice to that position. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Ms. Quirk?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Ms. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Previously, we had 2 contracts that we talked about in an executive session. We released those executive session minutes earlier in this meeting. I will accept a motion to ratify the contract as previously discussed with Police Chief Walter W. Correa.
I move to ratify the contract with Police Chief Walter W. Correa.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to ratify that contract. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Ms. Quirk?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Ms. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
And myself, yes. It is so. May I have a motion, please, on the contract for Human Resources Director, Assistant Town Administrator Doreen Allen, England?
I move to ratify the contract with Human Resources Director Doreen Allen, England.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to ratify that as well. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Ms. Quirk? Ms. Quirk?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Ms. Corbett?
Yes.
And Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
And myself, yes, it is so. Under 48-hour business, we have a request from the Oyster Festival for signs. The Oyster Festival, as I announced earlier in the evening, is Sunday. They have signs that they would like to put on the town property. The application is in compliance with everything we need. Their insurance is in place, and so I would recommend that we approve that request, and I will put it on an agenda in 2 weeks for a confirmatory vote. May I have a motion to approve the placement of signs for the Oyster Festival?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I think he's second.
No, he moved it. All right.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, I will go for a roll call vote. Ms. Quirk?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Ms. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
Yes.
And myself, yes, it is so. Okay. Have I done everything?
The Pride Proclamation.
Yep, the Pride Proclamation. Mr. Bessie,
No, Jared's gonna
are
do
you
it.
going to read it?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to try and read it here. Hopefully my internet will stay stable.
Okay, thank you.
All right. My apologies for the background noise, some radio there. All right, Proclamation Pride Month. Whereas Martin Luther King Jr. wrote, "In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. And it is only right and moral that we identify, condemn, and stand against all forms of racism, discrimination, and hatred. And whereas the month of June was chosen to commemorate the riots that took place in Manhattan on June of 1969 at the Stonewall Inn. Whereas the United States Supreme Court ruled in June 2015 that same-sex couple marriage nationwide as a civil right. Whereas gay, lesbian, and bisexual Americans can serve their country openly, honestly, and without fear of losing their jobs because of whom they love. Whereas the town of Wareham recognizes that our nation was founded upon the principles that all people are created equal and that each person has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Whereas the town of Wareham understands that LGBT rights are human rights, and where...
Oh, no.
And whereas the town of Wareham is strengthened by and thrives upon the rich diversity of ethnic, cultural, racial, gender, and sexual identities of its residents, all of which contribute to the vibrant character of our town. Therefore, the town of Wareham proclaims that June of 2024 shall be known as Pride Month, So proclaimed this 7th day of May, 2024. Select Board. Judith Whiteside, Chair. Jared Chadwick, Clerk. Alan Slavin, Ronald Bessie.
We have a new one that actually has the current
Oh.
board, but that's okay.
I don't have the new one.
So, that's okay.
Thank you for reading that, because I just completely read that to a blank screen.
We lost you. That's okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I told you.
Okay. Oh, I forgot one announcement. I did with Mr. Chadwick and Mr. Buckminster go to another ceremony for an Eagle Scout on Sunday. It was great. And we have 2 more coming from Troop 39. So that would be 6 this year, which is really an astonishing number, which is great. We had a informational hearing, back to item 7A. The owner of the Shenanigans was notified of the informational hearing. I did ask the police chief for a copy of any reports made to the police department, and I sent you a copy of that. None of the complaints were regarding noise, and that was one of the original reasons that we had this hearing in the first place. I do know that the owner of the establishment has not yet procured a building permit, which would hopefully ameliorate some of the noise in terms of baffling. The site is located on a state highway, and one of the repeated problems is that people cannot park on a state highway. So if you're going to this establishment, please do not park on Route 6 and 28. You will get a ticket, or you'll get spoken to by the police anyway. And we did notify the abutters as well of this meeting, and no one sent us any information about any noise complaints, so I guess we were here to make sure that the noise complaints had been addressed, and I believe that they have been, at least to date. Mr. Bowen, do you have any suggestions about what else to do or say? Because it's only an informational hearing when we really didn't have anybody.
I would like to know, Madam Chairman, I would like to know why the license holder didn't respond. Did he not get the letter?
No, the license holder was notified orally and by letter.
Okay.
I can open the hearing.
Well, no, I mean,
Yeah.
this wasn't a hearing per se.
Yeah.
The warm weather will be upon us tomorrow. I heard it might be as high as 90. With respect, what I'd suggest is that obviously, probably not next week, but for the following week, the license holder be invited to come in order to inform the board of what steps have been taken and to reassure the board and the abutters that there won't be noise issues that ruin the peace of their summer.
Okay, that's fine. I'll schedule it back on the 4th of June, which will be our next meeting.
Can I say something?
Sure.
To Rich's earlier point, when I was looking at this item and thinking about it, I really wish the owner had come in, because I watched the hearing previously, and I was interested in hearing what steps he's taken, because outdoor dining entertainment hasn't happened yet. It's been kind of a cold, miserable spring. So I'm not surprised there's been no noise complaints. I would love to understand what he's doing moving forward for this summer for the outdoor dining and outdoor entertainment that may be taking place. So I do hope he comes in at some point.
He will come in. Just so that everyone understands, he does not have a sprinkler system in his building. Therefore, the capacity for the building, including the outdoor serving area, is 99. Anything over that is a violation of his license and the fire laws. Until a building is sprinkled, it may not have at any time more than 99 individuals inside or in the serving area. That is the law.
And that includes,
I'll make sure I put 99 people. Quiet.
that includes staff also, so not
That-
99
yeah.
patrons, that's
It's
everybody in the
99
entire
bodies.
building.
Right.
That's been a bone of contention elsewhere. So 99 is it, including staff. So it can cut down on the profits of the business when you're talking about paying patrons and people being paid to work there. But I would like to everybody else's point, understand kind of what's gone on over the last 2 months. I haven't seen much on the outside, but that doesn't really matter. There could be a lot of changes going on the inside, but I'd really like to know.
They did not pull any building permits.
So maybe they have a plan. Maybe there's something on paper that can kind of show us what's happening and what's going on. Because to Rich's point, summer's coming, and when it gets here, hopefully it stays for a little while, because it hasn't really been a fantastic spring, and I'd like to enjoy a little bit of the summer. You know, our wonderful beaches we have, but with rain and cold weather, it doesn't really work. So, but it's really important that we kind of understand this so that we can put the minds at ease of the abutters that are paying to live there, and enjoying their space too.
Thank you. Either Ms. Quirk or Mr. Chadwick, want to address that? No? Okay. I think
Nothing. Thank you.
that we have done everything on my agenda. Mr. Town Administrator, do you have a report for us this evening? And while we're waiting for him, we will be reassigning liaisons the meeting of the 4th. We haven't done that yet because Ms. Quirk has been on vacation and unavailable to have, raise her hand and say, yeah, I want to be the liaison to this. So, Mr. Sullivan, your report, please.
Thank you. The Bayview Park project has been awarded. It's been awarded to the Lawrence Lynch Corporation. That includes the Highland Ave sidewalks as well. And we have the project set to begin September 1. The goal is to have it completed by June of 2025. So September 1 is the latest that we can do. Had we have started this summer, we would have lost a Bayview Park, or this spring, we would have lost a Bayview Park project for this summer. So that's our ultimate goal. We know there's still activities in September, including the Harvest Moon Festival, but I'd rather lose that month than the month of June, potentially July. So, also over at the Deacon School, there have been some parking problems, as we know, on the weekends. And there's definitely no parking allowed in the fire lane. I received an email from the Wareham Fire Chief on that. And I will tell you, they've been putting a lot of pressure on the volunteers who are trying to coach the teams. Trying to coach and be parking enforcement's not an easy job for them. So to try and help with the situation, municipal maintenance has opened up approximately 34 spots, which should be striped and taken care of. And we're hoping that will provide some relief. And we've also reached out to the American Legion. I'll be sending them a follow-up email, and it looks like they are okay with us using their grassy area as overflow capacity. So between those two items, it should take care of everything. And the parents do know where to drop off their kids, so they can drop off the kids, and anybody that needs closer parking, the lot will be available. So I want to tell you, it's, as you mentioned with municipal maintenance before, the level of help that they provide for these things is it's tremendous. As well as this weekend, they're also doing the grand opening of the Shangri-La Playground. And if you go there, between the drainage work, the paving that area for them, and you'd see the basketball court, everything. What a tremendous job. So really can't say enough about the municipal maintenance department and all the staff there. Interesting thing, there's been a proposal to create an iLottery program or electronic version of mass lottery games. And the problem is currently the lottery proceeds go to the unrestricted general government aid that we receive. and the iLottery is proposed to fund other programs. There's no doubt that the electronic or iLottery will eat into the regular mass lottery sales. So we need to keep an eye on that and make sure that all the funds that come from that are continuing to go to unrestricted general government aid. Otherwise, we're frankly just pirating from the aid that municipalities receive. So the most recent Senate version did not include it, but I know that's something, anytime we see anything, we should advocate that all those funds should continue to go to unrestricted general government aid. Otherwise, it's just a shell game. So, and that is it. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. I will ask for liaison and initiative reports, but I don't think that we have any. Mr. Chadwick? No?
I have, yeah. One is, actually the only one I have is about the nurses at Toby. They spent an entire day yesterday working on agreements for their contract. I'm just trying to pull it up. It is the exact email. The parties squeezed in the marathon session yesterday, ending late last night. They have reached a tentative agreement that addresses competitive pay, staffing, and scheduling. This agreement concretely and substantially addresses the issues around nurse recruitment and retention. The nurses will hold the ratification vote on May 31st. So once I know more about that, I will let everybody know. Other than that, I've been keeping a close eye on everything, including actually being in the hospital yesterday and talking to some of the emergency room staff nurses. So hopefully I will have some more information very shortly for everyone.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? Okay. The person who usually does this is no longer with us here at this table. So
I move to adjourn.
Second.
motion made and seconded to adjourn. It is not debatable. I will go for a roll call vote. Ms. Quirk?
Yes.
Mr. Chadwick?
Yes.
Ms. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Bessie?
In the words of Alan Slavin, I guess.
And myself, yes. Thank you. We are adjourned at 8:17. Thank you very much, Wareham. Good evening.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye, everybody.